This is the video for the VEX VR coding disk color maze level 2. So this is the code that we had for level 1. We ran that front eye sensor on this one, but this time we're going to run the bottom sensor to detect, meaning the bottom eye. So the structure of our code is going to be very similar to this, but we're going to use the bottom eye sensor, which is going to cause us to have some differences. So I'm going to delete that code. And the first thing that we're thinking, if we're using the bottom sensor, I'm on green. So anything I do when I'd start, if I made a right-hand turn, I'd automatically make a right-hand turn. So what I have to do is, the first thing I need to do is I need to drive off of that green square. So I'm just going to go 200 millimeters to get off of that square. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my control structure, and I'm going to choose my while. So what I'm going to do is, now that I'm not on a color, I'm going to say, hey, if I'm not detecting a color, red, green, or blue, when I'm not detecting that color, meaning that eye sensor, I want to run a function or run a program. So what I'm going to do is come over to my sensing, and I'm going to say when it is not red, because red is when I stop. So the only time that it won't run is when it's on red. So if it's not red, it's going to run. So if it is red, what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to end my program and stop driving. So now what I want to say is, hey, if my down sensor reads green, and again, you can see I kept it on front sensor. I needed to go down eye or down sensor for the first one. If my down sensor reads green, what I want to have happen, same like the last program, I want to turn right at 90 degrees. Now, if I'm not reading green, what do I want it to do? I want it to drive forward. So we're going to do the same logic for the blue sensor. If our down eye detects blue, we're going to make that left-hand turn at 90 degrees. If not, we're going to stick with that driving forward. So now, once we move off that original square, if we don't read red, we're going to run this middle loop. As soon as we do reach red, we're out of this while loop, and we're going to come down to the stop command. But if we don't read green or blue as it cycles through, it's going to drive forward. Once it reaches those colors, it's going to make a right or left-hand turn. Now, if you've had trouble of you actually meeting this sensor, some things that you can do. You can set your drive velocity starting at the beginning of your program to something like 80%, which will slow down the rate at which it will go, and set your turn velocity again to something slower than 100%, which will make that you have crisper turns instead of rounded turns as we go through. So one of the things, if you were missing your sensors in the previous program, meaning you kind of got off the beaten path, is try slowing down your drive and your turn velocities. What we can see now is I've driven off, and my program is running based on